Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment of the Township of Union, which is being held pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Law, C-231, Laws of New Jersey, dated 1975. Notice of this meeting was advertised in the local source, the newspaper of record, and notice has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building adjacent to the municipal clerk's office. Roll call.
Mr. Wiley. Here. Ms. Martins.
Here.
Mr. Bentaveginen.
Here.
Ms. Scott.
Here.
Mr. McNeil. Here. Ms. Little. Here. Mr. Graves is absent. Ms. Ricketts.
Here.
Mr. Champion.
Here. There being a quorum present, this meeting is now declared open. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from our March 18th and March 25th meetings.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the meeting minutes of March 18th and March 25th, 2026 be approved as written and dispense with their reading.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Are there any communications, Mr. Manguso?
Mr. Chairman, there are no communications.
Hearing none. We have one case this evening, calendar number 3473, New Singular Wireless, PCS LLC, otherwise AT&T. Location is 2322 Morris Avenue, block 3915, lot 17.01. Applicant wishes to construct a telecommunications facility. Counselor?
Good evening.
Other side over here, yes.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Lindsay Habenreich. I'm the attorney for New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, or AT&T. The applicant is here requesting a preliminary and final minor site plan approval and approval of 5 bulk C variances for the installation and operation of a wireless telecommunications facility at 2322 Morris Avenue. So believe many of you were on the board just a couple of years ago when we were here before you for a temporary facility at this exact same site. What we're proposing tonight is a permanent replacement of that temporary facility. The temporary facility is a 90-foot monopole mounted with 6-panel antennas, a microwave dish, and related ground-based equipment, all housed in a 400 square feet concrete ballast block foundation. The temporary facility currently provides essential network coverage to the surrounding area, including many commercial uses on Morris Avenue and nearby residential neighborhoods. The proposed permanent facility that we're here before this board tonight is for the installation of a 120-foot monopole with multiple panel antennas, remote radio heads mounted at a centerline height of 117 feet with available space for 2 co-locators and additional antennas by future users. The project also proposes a ground-based equipment compound that will be a 20-foot by 12 feet concrete pad adjacent to the monopole base that will include a natural gas power generator, cabinets, related equipment, and all surrounded by a 6-foot tall chain link fence. The site is located in the C1 Commercial Industrial District, where telecommunications facility are a permitted use with minor site plan approval. The project also requires 5 bulk C variances. Pursuant to section 170-2304A18, there is a 120-foot setback, that's 100% of the height of the tower required, and on the side yard lot line, we are only proposing 24 feet, so a bulk C variance is required. Pursuant to 170-2304A19, there's a minimum 750-foot separation distance from the residential zones, and we are proposing 254 feet from the nearest residential unit, nearest house, and 246 feet from the nearest residential zone. So 2 bulk variances are required. Additionally, pursuant to 170-2304B2, for the ground-based equipment compound, there is both a side yard setback requirement of 25 feet, but we will only be 12 feet from the side yard lot line, and there is a maximum gross floor area of 200 square feet, and ours will exceed that by just a little bit. We will be 240 square feet. so another bulk C variance is required there. Tonight, we will offer testimony from 3 expert witnesses. Dan Panesso, I'll call up in a minute. He is a radio frequency engineer and will describe AT&T's network needs and the justification for the site, the need for the site. Next, we will bring up Ekta Shah, a licensed professional engineer, who will take you through the site plans and for the proposed installation and talk about any structural impacts associated with both the demolition and construction of the new tower. And then lastly, we'll bring up Paul Ricci, a licensed planner, who will describe the visual impacts of the facility, changing it from 90 feet to 120 feet, and then also describe the need for the 5 variances. Lastly, we do have Martin McGee. He's a site acquisition specialist here as a fact witness. Should there be any questions about the history of the site, the lease with the landowner, anything, we can offer him up as a fact witness to answer questions if needed. I will note that on March 13th that we submitted a fulsome application. We did receive a letter dated April 13th from the township engineer acknowledging receipt and review of those materials, deemed our application complete, and obviously we are here before the board tonight to discuss the application materials as well as to seek approval from this board. There were a few technical comments noted in that letter that we will discuss, we will address with tonight's testimony. So I'd like to call up Dan Panesso to take us through the site.
Thank you, Council. This is Rob Pansula, the Board Attorney. I did mark through the various submissions. I marked A1, the application, as it was submitted with the supporting checklist items. I marked A2, the site details from KMB, which consists of 12 sheets. And then I followed your exhibits. I know you submitted it through your March 13th submission. A3 was the survey, A4, and I followed it straight down the line with your exhibits all the way through A9. So right in sequence, the way you supplied the exhibits, I went in number. A3 through A9 is marked for the record. Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
And for the record, could you state and spell your name with your affiliation?
First name Daniel, last name Panesso, P-E-N-E-S-S-O. I'm the radio frequency engineer here to describe the need for the site. I have been employed as a radio, do you want me to give my qualifications now? I have been employed as a radio frequency engineer for over 25 years. I have testified before this board and hundreds of other boards
We'll
with
accept
regards...
his credentials.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so Dan, if you could just provide testimony on FirstNet, what that is, and then provide the need for the site and the coverage.
So,
Yeah.
and I'll take the microphone, sure. AT&T was awarded FirstNet, which is First Responders Network Authority, to have that, it's 700 megahertz spectrum allocated to first responders. If there was ever an emergency, that spectrum would be dedicated to their service only, not to the public use. So that's a part of this. All of AT&T's network nationwide is implementing this. So any 700 megahertz spectrum that is allocated to the site, if there was ever an emergency, it would be dedicated to the first responders so that there would be no issue with, because when we have an emergency, the wireless networks get bogged down by all of the users trying to, access the network, and that could cause an issue if a first responder was trying to communicate with another first responder. They wouldn't be able to do so if the network were overburdened. So this dedicated spectrum is allocated to the first responders only so that they could have access to communication, whether it be voice or data or whatever they needed. So that's one aspect of the application. Another aspect of the application is that we're going to be implementing new antennas with new C-band, which is 3,700 megahertz at this site, so that we can get we'll have faster throughput with this signal that's being implemented. And also, as Lindsay mentioned, we are currently going, the temp site is at 90 feet, and we're going to be going up to 117 feet, which will give us a greater footprint of coverage to cover the area in town. I prepared exhibits that were submitted in the application, and I have blown-up copies that I can go through with the board to show what the existing coverage is and what the proposed coverage will look like, as well as the neighboring sites that are surrounding the area. And I can do that now. So the first exhibit is map number 4, actually. So this represents the composite coverage with the existing temporary site. The temporary site is indicated by the purplish blue dot in the center. That's NWL 03950. The coverage that you see, the blue and the green, represents the blue in-building coverage, reliable in-building, and green, reliable in-vehicle coverage. So shall I go through and list all of the sites? Does the board want to hear that? The neighboring sites and how they interact in the network? Shall I do that? Yes? So, as I mentioned, we have our temporary site located at 2322 Morris Avenue. And then I'll start here, southeast of that site. We have a site with the site identifier as NWL 03778. That's a water tank that's located at 1767 Morris Avenue. Then we have a site that is on a rooftop at 601 Chestnut Street, and that site is identified by NWL 03935. South of that, we have a site that's identified as NWL 03219. That's a billboard, and that we're located at 20-60 South 31st Street. Then north of that in Kenilworth, we have northwest. We have a water tank that we're located on, which is identified as NWL 03356. That's at 400 Michigan Avenue. And then west of that, northwest, we have a site identified as NWL 01114, a monopole at 51 Brown Avenue. Then north of that in Springfield, we have a monopole at 192 Mountain Avenue. Then another monopole northeast of that, identified as NWL 03434 at 30 Bleecker Street. North of that, we have a rooftop on 340 Milburn Avenue, and that site is identified as NWL 03945. East of that, we have a site identified as NWL 00594 at 28 Baker Street. That's a monopole. Southeast of that, we have a site identified as NWL 03493 at 2040 Milburn Avenue. Then we have southeast of that, site identified as NWL 03193 at 2170 Stanley Terrace, a monopole. So all of these sites that I just named are existing on-air sites, which would be an immediate handoff site to the proposed site and the temp site that we currently have on air. So if we were to remove I'll flip to the next exhibit. This exhibit, which is labeled Map 1, represents the coverage that would be provided by the existing on-air sites without the temp site or the proposed site. So as you can see, without that proposed site, we lose the in-building coverage, and we have gaps in coverage that are signified by the white that will be occurring if we didn't have a site in the area. The next exhibit, I'll show what the proposed coverage would look like. And this is labeled Map 2, the AT&T proposed composite coverage. And that is depicted by the yellow star is the proposed site. And then you can see that the area that was white and green now has in-building and in-vehicle coverage in the area of Union, which we need to cover. So this site, and going at the height, will provide us a more footprint of coverage than what we currently have, so we can limit the amount of sites that would be needed in Union to fulfill this area of coverage.
So Dan, that's why we're going
yeah,
from 90 up to 120 feet,
yes.
170.
And then also this will allow for other future carriers to come on the pole, that they could come out, if we're at 117, then 10 feet center to center, what you need so you don't have any interference issues. Someone could be at 107 and then 97. So you could have additional carriers co-locating on the pole, and they would be able to utilize the pole for their networks. Shall I go through and name the roads and put that on the record that this site covers?
Yes, please.
Yes? And in the RF report, it was submitted, this is in number 7, that I mentioned the roads that this site will cover: Morris Avenue, Liberty Avenue, Caldwell Avenue, Burnett Avenue, Carroll Road, Burns Place, Commerce Avenue. Also, the Union High School is in the vicinity, and there are businesses in the vicinity, as Lindsay mentioned as well. So this site is a very important site for us to have to cover in Union Township.
Are there any questions on the RF materials? If not, we can move on to the health and safety, but wanted to see if there are any questions on these exhibits first.
Are there, Mr. McNeil?
I do have, on all of the maps, I'm still seeing some white specks in there. So even with this 120-foot pole, you'll still have some things that's not covered?
That's correct, yeah. As you can see, this site, and I'll show you an example of the site itself, by itself, is labeled map number 3. So this is what the proposed coverage would look like from the site itself. And because of the topography and the existing obstructions that the signal incurs, you get this footprint of coverage at this height. And now I'll go back to the composite. To the southeast, we have a little bit of white area. This is the Garden State Parkway, which I'm tracing with my finger. This is Route 22 here. So and this site here is not a tall site, the 3935 that I mentioned, which is a rooftop at 60 feet, this site here. So you see this height is a smaller footprint of coverage because it's a rooftop at a low antenna centerline height. So we could put another site here to fulfill this gap if AT&T saw to do so. But at this time, I don't foresee any plans for a new site. But a cell site can cover, this site is doing a good footprint of coverage for us, even though you do see an area of white southeast, and this is Eleanor Terrace up in here. The site is doing very well for us at the height. And we didn't propose a taller structure because we wanted to stay with, we don't want to have it too high or too low to meet our coverage objective. So this is the minimum height required to fulfill the coverage gap and to hand off to the neighboring sites so that we have contiguous coverage and that we don't have any issues with handoffs between the existing on-air sites.
When you say handoff,
Yeah.
is that a mechanism or is that just?
No, so this is a mobile network. If someone were driving and they're being served by this site that we have on air, our proposed site, and they drive towards this site, for example, this site provides coverage to a certain point, then the phone automatically transitions to the next serving cell based on their signal strength. So when the strong signal strength from that neighboring cell is received by the phone, it hands off. That's what I mean by handoff to that next serving cell.
Are there any other board members that would like to question the witness on his testimony? Hearing none?
So
Yep.
before you step down,
Yep.
so you did also prepare a health and safety report. Can you just take us through that
Yes.
report and
So,
what it says?
What Lindsay's referring to is the FCC RF conformity assessment and report for the antenna installation that's dated March 7th of this year, 2026. And this is a study that is done, which all cell sites have to comply with FCC guidelines regarding emissions. And this site is in full compliance with the FCC guidelines by a margin of 10 times lower than the FCC limit established for safe, continuous human exposure to RF energy at all of the frequencies that AT&T is implementing. The total amount for the assessment is 9.9519% of the FCC general population maximum permissible exposure, which is the MPE limit. So this site is in full compliance with regards to emissions.
Any board questions on the testimony Mr. Panesco has provided? Hearing none, are there any members of the public that would like to question the testimony this witness has provided? Hearing none, Counselor?
Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to call up Ms. Ekta Shah, a professional engineer with KMB Design Group. Ms. Shaw, can you please state your name and your credentials for the record so we can offer you as an expert witness?
Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony provided this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
And for the record, state and spell your name with your affiliation.
Sure. Ekta Shah, Ekata, last name Shah.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Shaw, if you could please provide your credentials, your background, and your relationship with this project, what you've done to prepare the site plans.
Sure. My name is Ekta Shah. Business address 1800 Route 34 Wall, Township, New Jersey. I have a Master's of Science and the degree of Civil Engineering from the University of Texas in Arlington. I'm a licensed engineer in the state of New York and New Jersey, and I have been involved with these kind of installations for over a decade and have presented my,
The board will accept her credentials.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So can you please take us through the site plans and the, you know, the relationship also, if you can, between the proposed site and the temporary site and the proposed permanent site?
Sure. Currently on the site there is an existing 90 feet pole. What we are proposing over here is to install a new 120 feet tall ballasted monopole, which will house 4 antenna sectors on a standard platform. The monopole also, can you see this? Okay. The monopole can also house additional carriers at an elevation of 107 feet and 97 feet. On the proposed platform, we are proposing to install 3 antenna sectors. 4 antenna sectors, sorry. Each antenna sector will have 3 antennas, 3 RRUs, and 1 DC9 unit. Apart from that, we are also proposing to install an equipment pad, which is 12 feet by 20 feet in dimension. On the equipment pad, we are proposing to install a generator, a power plant cabinet, a RACAP 38 cabinet, and a gas booster. The entire compound will be enclosed in a chain link fence, which a 6 feet high chain link fence with access provided on the east side of the compound.
For construction, about how long does it take to both demolish the existing monopole and replace it with the permanent site?
Just the demolition and everything, approximately if everything goes right and the site is prepped right and everything, takes about a month. And all safety protocols, including physical barriers, control access points, signage, will be provided during the demolition and the construction of the site.
And then what about ongoing maintenance or visits to the site? How frequently do people visit the site?
Maintenance is usually done every 4 to 6 weeks, and it will be just one personnel coming in just to maintain the site and with a truck.
Any camouflaging, the color of the monopole?
There's no camouflaging for this.
Okay. But it is painted?
It is painted to match the color.
To match the sky.
Yeah.
If there are any other questions from the board?
Are there any board members that would like to question Ms. Shaw on her testimony?
Just in terms of its monopole, that's one single piece?
It will come in sections.
Sections.
The monopoles usually come in sections, and then they're slipped on together.
And how they just slide on? And
Yeah.
friction bolts or something hold it in place, or just
No,
weight?
the what we call is the lap joint is what it's called. The lap area will be designed enough that there will be no bolts needed. It just slips in place.
Any other board questions? Hearing none, are there any members of the public that would like to come forward and question the testimony Ms. Shah has provided? Hearing none, Counselor?
Can I just ask, is there also, in addition, this is Rob Pansul, the board attorney, in addition to the maintenance visit, and I think you said it was one person, 4 to 6 weeks, is there remote capabilities to monitor the site and certainly security features and things like that?
Yes,
I
this
imagine
site-
it's under surveillance on an ongoing basis,
Right,
correct?
the site is monitored
Okay.
24/7
I just wanted to
remotely,
clarify
yes.
that.
Counselor, your next witness?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to call Mr. Paul Ricci, licensed planner.
Can I ask the witness to swear or affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
And for the record, state and spell your name with your affiliation.
Paul Ricky, R-I-C-C-I, Ricky Planning LLC.
Any changes from your credentials when you last appeared here and were qualified as an expert planner?
No.
So noted for the record, Mr. Chairman.
I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I've been licensed since the year 2000. Also a member of the Institute of Certified Planners. I have a master's degree in city and regional planning from Rutgers University. I'm currently a municipal planning consultant in 7 towns. I testify regularly in front of boards. I testified in front
The
of this
board
board.
will accept his credentials.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr.
You're
Chairman.
welcome.
So, Mr. Ricky, if you can take us through, let's start with the variances. There are 5 variances proposed here. Take us through those and the need for them.
Sure. First and foremost, I think it's important to recognize that the issuance of an FCC license generally establishes that the use promotes the general welfare. And the reason, so in terms of for wireless applications, these promote the general welfare for a number of reasons. Number one, they allow family interactions, access to prompt, reliable information. Over 80% of all emergency calls occur from phones, and today, I think most people recognize that a cell phone is really the primary source of that individuals use. I think right now, if you're a person living at home with a child in the house, I think about 20% of people still have a landline today, approximately. So they provide a tremendous benefit. And this facility here, as well, it's an existing facility that the goal was to continue to provide service to Union Township as well. I know that the variances have already been mentioned. If I don't have to re-mention them, I'll kind of just go through the criteria. As part of this analysis, I just wanted to point out, I did review your master plan, pertinent sections of your zoning ordinance, and I did perform, I did photo simulations where I went out in the field and I flew a drone to 120 feet. That was the basis for the simulations that you see, so we feel very good about the accuracy of them. And also with the drone, I can go around. I have someone that flies it, and then I go around and I canvass the neighborhood, and I actually look for the drone to see where it is and take photographs to show the visual impact. So that helps in that regard as well, because since this tower is approximately 30 feet taller, we want to be able to assess the difference in the height and any additional impact that may have in the community. Generally, from a planning context, the variances themselves clearly stem from the condition of the property and how it exists today. It's context and condition. I do note that this property is an oversized over 6.6 acre lot in your commercial and industrial district. We are, again, a permitted use here in the zone, but because that lot is very narrow, you saw pictures on the site plan, where we're locating the tower, it's approximately only about 160 feet wide. Just by nature of your ordinance, you require 200 feet in lot width. And the goal here is to locate the tower in a manner where it allows the operation of the lumber yard to operate their facilities and to locate it in a manner where it works for everyone. And here it's located most proximate to the commercial uses that are most close to Rawway Avenue. So the context and condition of the properties, and to try to retain the existing location, approximately, it's shifting slightly, is what's driving the need for variance relief. maybe it makes sense to show the photo
Go through the
simulations.
photo simulations,
I
that'd be
have
great.
paper copies too. I have it on the screen, but if anyone would like a paper copy, I have that as well.
If it's the exhibit you submitted to council's A.
Yes.
I marked it A6. Yeah, I think it was Exhibit F to your submission, so the board notes that for the record.
Okay, so the exhibit's entitled Photographic Simulations, Proposed 120-foot AT&T Telecommunications Facility, 2322 Morris Avenue. It's dated March 10th, 2026. I may flip back and forth a little bit. Can everyone see the aerial photograph? The aerial photograph, you'll see, we show the subject property, or 99% of it outlined in orange. Morris Avenue runs across the top portion of the lot, and like the northern portion, north is generally straight up on this exhibit. You can see in the bottom it's slightly turned to the left. The cell tower location is located in red, and then I show various numbers on there, and those numbers correspond with the photograph locations. So picture 1 is going to be taken right from the front of the lumber yard, looking into the site. Picture 2 is on Morris Avenue, and I'll go through these moving in the westerly direction, kind of in front of the high school. And then picture number 3, what I try to do is I take the worst potential location in terms of proximity to residential or uses would be on Klein Court. Picture number 4 is on the opposite side on the property, on a southeasterly side, and that's on Gifford Court. And then finally, the final picture is picture number 5, and that is located on Savit Place, if I'm saying that correctly. So the first picture shows the existing condition, and the second picture shows the proposed condition. So picture number 1, in front of the property. So you see the existing condition, and then you show the tower slightly moved and slightly taller from this vantage point. In my opinion, the visual impact is negligible in terms of the change. Picture number 2, here we're kind of on Morris Avenue, close to being in front of the high school. The tower is not visible at this location. And then if you look in the center of the photograph, you can see a very small top, and I'll zoom in. The very small top portion of the tower is visible, and at that distance, it's negligible in its visibility. So unless you're really looking for that tower, it's really hidden in the landscape, in my opinion. Photograph number 3, this is taken from Klein Court. This would be the closest residential. So what we have here is the Yager. Is it Yager? You say Yager? Yager lumber? Is it Yager? Jaeger. You say it's not the silent J? Jaeger Younger. Sorry about that.
You're thinking of Jägermeister.
Jägermeister.
Yeah. You got me there. So there's an interlying property between the Jaeger lumber property, and they have another commercial building there, and then Klein Court. So we show the existing tower there. This is meant to show the potential worst impact. And then the new tower, you can see, is slightly taller, but largely unchanged. They're both still visible, slightly taller. Picture number 4, this is taken on Gifford Court. This is to the south and east of the subject property. There's no visibility from the street line. The rear yards of these properties likely see the tower. However, you can see the very top of the tower now from Gifford Court. And then finally, the final location, I'm butchering some of these names, I'm sorry, from Savit Place, this is now moving up more closer to Morris Avenue again. There was no visibility, and then you can see just, again, the very top of the tower. So largely, it's my opinion as a planner that the changes visually are really somewhat minimalistic here. The tower's in the area, it exists. When we weigh that in terms of the benefits of this application, I think it's clear that the benefits here outweigh the detriment. When we look at the negative criteria, I've already established that these uses, promote the general welfare of the community. When we look at the negative criteria, These are passive land uses, cell towers. They don't create new population, not like like a use variance application. They don't create much traffic. They don't create noise with the exception in an emergency or if you have to cycle a generator from time to time. They don't create school children or population. The only potential negative impact associated with these facilities is their visibility, and that's why we prepared the photo simulations that show that there's no substantial visual impact. So in terms of the C2 criteria for the bulk variance relief, well, first and foremost, the applicant does suffer from a minor hardship due to the narrowest shape of the rear of the property, but also in terms of the C2 criteria that we can show that it promotes the purpose of zoning. This promotes purpose A, promotes the general welfare, and that also that the variances from the negative criteria can be granted without a substantial detriment to the public good, naming the surrounding property owners, without a substantial impairment to the zone plan. You also have to factor in by adding this co-located facility is the least obtrusive means of providing the coverage, because if this tower did not exist in it and it was eliminated, you'd have to find another tower in this search ring area that AT&T has used for a while. And we think this is the best location, considering that this area has already largely absorbed any visual impact over time from this tower. And it functions well, as indicated by our radio frequency engineer, of providing the coverage for the residents as well. Did I miss anything? Or?
You covered it all. Any questions from the board?
Any board members with questions for Mr. Ricky? Hearing none, are there any members of the public that would like to come forward and question the testimony this witness has provided? Hearing none, Counselor, do you have any more witnesses?
I do not, unless there are any other questions from the board.
Are there any comments from the board or from the public? Hearing none, would you like to sum up?
I would, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in summary, AT&T respectfully requests that the board grant the preliminary and final site plan review, as well as the 5 bulk C variances to allow the construction and operation of this important facility in order to maintain crucial AT&T coverage and provide the public safety benefits from FirstNet. And we thank the board so much for your time, and if you have any other questions, we're happy to answer them.
Thank you, Counselor. At this time, I believe we can counsel this. Mr. Bentavegna, would you like to begin, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on the testimony tonight, I think this is a good application. This is a permitted use, so I think it's well-suited, and I'll be voting yes.
Ms. Scott.
Good evening. I thought the professionals did an excellent job educating. I'm not sure how many people up here were so familiar with exactly how the cell towers work, but I learned a lot, so I appreciate the education on it. And you did a very good job. It's extremely useful. And I had questions of my own about, when people drop calls and how we don't have sometimes signals and all that kind of, stuff. But thank you for the, kind of shining some light on that, and I appreciate it. So yes, I will also be voting yes.
Ms. Martins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to have to agree with my colleague. The professionals did an outstanding job this evening. I don't see this as a negative impact to the site. It actually a more positive impact. Very clean, straightforward application, so I will be voting yes as well.
Ms. Little, back there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I concur with my colleagues, and I think this is a good plan, and I will be voting yes.
Mr. Wiley.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I agree with my colleagues. I don't see a problem with this application. I think it's a good and clean application, minimal negative impact, and I think it'll be a benefit for those who need this type of service, and I'm going to vote yes.
Ms. Ricketts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too agree with my colleagues. The experts, great job presenting. I too will be voting yes.
And Mr. McNeil.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would also agree with my colleagues and also thank the professionals for a thorough presentation. The site is well suited for use, and I will be voting yes.
As for myself, based on tonight's testimony, the applicant proved and justified both the negative and positive criteria. This proposed telecommunication facility will definitely benefit the community, by providing improved and continuous service. And I too see no negative impact on the surrounding properties. And again, to concur with my colleagues, the witnesses did a really professional job, a really good job. So at this time, can I have a motion and a second?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board grant the variance applicable to this application and that council is directed to prepare a resolution consistent with the board's decision.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
Ms. Martins?
Yes.
Mr. Bentavegana?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. McNeil?
Yes.
Ms. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Champy?
Yes.
May 13th, council, it'll be on the board's agenda for the adoption of the resolution, May 13th.
Mr. Chairman, there being no further business coming before the board, I move that we adjourn.
All in favor? Opposed? So moved.